Welcome to Caribbean Thought, guys. Welcome to Caribbean Thought. Is this lecture 7 or 6? I wasn't sure. I put lecture 7, but I wasn't sure if it were lecture 7. But probably it is. I haven't posted the lecture that we did on Monday as yet. I will do so between today and tomorrow. And this lecture tonight, I won't publish this one until probably tomorrow either. But I'm going to publish the one that we did 7. I'll release that one. The problem with it is that I recorded the recording was on the local computer, I think. No, I actually have a link to it. So, but I'll publish that one soon. Chantel is helping me with the transcript. So once the transcript is done, I'm going to put all the transcript together, summarize all the lectures we've had in one document, probably a 10-page document, and send it to you guys, and you guys will have it. So the entire lectures that we've done, we have the transcripts. What she's helping me with putting the transcripts together. Then I summarize it into a major presentation, 10-page document, and I send that to you guys. But today's lecture is entitled Independence and Democracy in the Caribbean. Independence and Democracy in the Caribbean. And I said Haiti, a case study. Haiti as a case study. And today we have a guest presenter. The guest presenter is Brian Concannon, who is the executive director for the Institute of Justice and Democracy in Haiti. He is also a human rights attorney, and he is a guru on Haitian issues and Haitian democracy and this fight for justice. I mentioned him I talked about him briefly in the last class. So you guys are familiar with a bit about Brian Concannon, but he did some humanitarian work before in Haiti in the I think it was in the 2000s, I think it was 2000, 2001, when Jean Bertrand Aristide was president. And he has also worked with him on the case against France as it relates to the debt that now they're trying to recoup the money that they paid to France. So he's going to be here he's worked with the United Nations, I believe. So he's going to be here with us. Minimize this. Oops. Good. Bring this up here. This is in the way. Now, the details of the lecture today. Of course, we are at the Jamaica Theological Seminary. I'm your professor or your adjunct lecturer in Caribbean Thought. And again, our guest presenter, Brian Concannon, human rights attorney and the executive director of the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti. And of course, today's date is June 28th, 2023. Now, today, before Mr. Concannon comes to us, we will provide a background on the background and/or context on Haiti's situation and the crisis and the need for Caribbean and international support to restore democracy. Now, the format of today's lecture will, of course, involve an introduction and welcome by yours truly, and then afterwards, we will go into providing several articles that will help us. We will provide summaries of 4 articles, summaries of 4 articles, which provide background context on Haiti's situation and crisis. They were provided to me by Mr. Brian Concannon. Some of the articles, one article was written by him, one was written by Miss Maxine, who was a government official here in Jamaica, and 2 was written by Mr. John Maxwell. Mr. John, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mr. John Maxwell, but Mr. John Maxwell was an intellectual, academic, social activist, professor at UWI, critical thinker. Now, after we do the summary, of the articles, that provide background and context. We will have the presentation by Mr. Brian Concannon. After he presents, we will have an open discussion and a question and answer session with the audience, yourself. Afterward, we will have a conclusion and closing remarks by yours truly and one of the students from the class. The head of the class, Dane, or his designate, will provide the vote of thanks. And then, of course, prayer and end. So that will be the format for today. Now, as we get ready to discuss the Haiti situation and its importance to the Caribbean, to Caribbean thought, and to the Caribbean context, and
I know, come and see it. I know. Oh. Sorry, sir. Sorry, I'm sorry.
As we get ready to discuss the Haiti situation and its importance to Caribbean thought, post-colonialism, independence, justice, and democracy, here are 4 distinct articles that provide useful context, including 2 from my friend Brian Concannon and 2 from John Maxwell. Now, Article 1 is entitled Haiti's Recent Elections, a Struggle for Democracy, and I am providing a summary. Now, this was written some time ago. I don't have the date. I will provide it. I actually have the actual articles, but this is a dated article. I believe this was in 2000 and something. I'll give you the date shortly. I thought I had the dates here. It was remiss of me for not including it here on this presentation. But the first article is entitled Haiti's Recent Elections, a Struggle for Democracy and Summary. A struggle for democracy, and this is a summary of the letter. Now, this article focuses on the recent elections in Haiti, highlighting the protests against ballot fraud. You know what? Let me pause sharing my screen because, okay, I need to provide you with. It's remiss of me it's very important that I provide you with the background, the date of it for this. I'm not sure why why it was not included. The first one, I'm going to give you the links to these summaries, but just for this class, I provided you with a summary. But I have all the links here. This one is from DSL. The Anti-Buckman Lead by John Maxwell. This is it? The Anti-Buckman Lead by John. Let me see when this was written. Why do I not have the it was copyright 2004. So this is the elections in 2004, and it's maximef@cwjamaica.com, but this was copyrighted in 2004. So this article relates to the elections in Haiti in 2004. And let me bring the screen back up here. And there we go. And let me share it. So this is 2004. Hold on a second. All right, so this is the first article, and this was about the elections in Haiti in 2004. The article focuses on the recent elections in Haiti, highlighting the protests against ballot fraud. It emphasizes the significance of the peaceful uprising. Notice the peaceful uprising by the Haitian people to establish the victory of René Préval. Despite numerous challenges faced during the election process. The article expresses criticism towards the governments of Jamaica, Trinidad, the Bahamas, Barbados, and CARICOM for their involvement with the government of Haiti. The author accuses them of cowardice and treachery for engaging with what engaging with what they consider a criminal conspiracy. A criminal conspiracy. The article highlights the historical significance of the Haitian Revolution and the betrayal of its ideals by the Jamaican government. So this puts into perspective the need for, when you think about the petition that we're doing, it puts it into perspective. And, you know, it's quite interesting that, that when you read this, in fact, let me read a little bit of the letter for you. It says, it's from D. Hesse, the Anti-Buckman League by John Maxwell. By John Maxwell. So written by John Maxwell. The gang now running Haiti seem to have tired of their democracy game. The charade is over. They seem to say we can now display our true colors because we know that the most important members of CARICOM are going to recognize us and legitimize us. In the slaughterhouse that is Haiti, there aren't too many people to protest against the proposed actions of the governments of Jamaica, Trinidad, the Bahamas, Barbados, the bureaucrats of CARICOM. So, you know, you know, the juggernauts of CARICOM, even within the region, there are some juggernauts, the top countries of CARICOM, Jamaica, Trinidad, Bahamas, Barbados, the bureaucrats of CARICOM, to engage the criminal conspiracy which calls itself the government of Haiti. I wrote a little song for them. The press is squared. PJ's squared, PJ Patterson. PJ's prepared. It's time to end our masquerade. Treacherous and cowardly. In deciding to engage with Haiti, the Jamaican government, as I see it, is guilty of unspeakable cowardice and treachery. The more revolting because we could see it coming months ago, as I warned in this column. Messrs. Patterson and K.D. Knight was the former Minister of Justice once, held in their hands a large portion of whatever hope for justice the Haitian people may have had. That hope was signed this week. In the same week that the Haitians should have been celebrating the spark that lit the fire of their independence, their close friends and relatives silently, stealthily were preparing to make a zombie out of the Haitian autonomy, independence, and hope for justice, or hope of justice. Boakaiman celebrates the occasion on August 14, 1791, 213 years ago, when the Jamaican escaped slave, Dr. Bookman, presided at a meeting to plan the rebellion against the French. That was in 1791, at a place called Boakaiman, Crocodile Forest. Delegates from all over the north of Haiti pledged to throw off their chains and throw the French out of Haiti forever. Bookman is said to have invoked the God of the Africans, who he said takes us by the arm and guides us. He will give us assistance. Throw away the white God's image, who is thirsting for the water in our eyes. Listen to the call of freedom in our hearts. And Bookman was a voodoo priest who came from Jamaica who escaped from Jamaica, came from Zenikambi, went from there, Gambia, went from there as a slave to Jamaica and escaped from Jamaica to Haiti. Probably he left Obia he didn't finish fully. My estimation is that he didn't fully formulate voodoo, the voodoo religion in Jamaica. And when he escaped, those who continued the practice developed that into a kind of Obia that almost resembled the voodoo. But that went from, so he went to the Haiti, and he talks about the fact that throwing away the white God's image. But he had religion, and he said, throwing away the white God's image, who is thirsting for the water in our eyes. The delegates returned to their plantations on the day, August 22, 1791. The orders discussed and adopted on the night of August 14 were implemented. Thus started the great saga that culminated in the independence of the first Black nation in our hemisphere. So it started with Bookman in 1791. Bookman, who is from Jamaica and who came from Jamaica, escaped. Bookman was killed in November 1791 in a French counter offensive. His severed head was exposed with this caption, "Head of Bookman, the rebel leader." There is controversy about whether Bookman was a voodoo priest, Obeah man, or a literate Muslim. In a monograph, Max Manigat reports it has been said that he had been given the name Bookman, as was the custom in the English colonies of the Caribbean in the case of many slaves who knew how to read the Quran. So there were many slaves. Oh, this is, we talk about Caribbean theology. This is very important, talking about Caribbean theology, because we said that Bookman was a voodoo priest. And I say to you, but in Jamaica, there's Obeah. Could he, because many people say, well, maybe he was an Obeah man. Maybe he, so, but what we know, so it could be that he, one of those who brought Obeah to Jamaica was Bookman, but it wasn't developed. But what we're hearing, many said that he knew the Quran. And at the custom in English colonies of the Caribbean, in the case of many slaves, many of them knew how to read the Quran. So many slaves brought the Muslim religion, or many slaves, and we never thought about that. The connections that many slaves had, African slaves had, we talk about ancestral religion, but what about other religions that resembled Muslim or Jewish or Christianity? Okay. Anyways, the only facts that we all well established, that we established about Bookman, are that he was a Jamaican and he was very tall, big man, of enormous strength. According to Max Manigat, Bookman gave the kickoff. Others followed, whose names now belong to universal history. And slowly, but inexorably, from 1791 until 1803, the Triple Haitian Revolution, anti-slavery, anti-colonial, and social, of the wretched of the earth of Saint-Domingue triumphed and became a reality. And notice how in this article, it talks about wretched of the earth. That's Frantz Fanon. That's Frantz Fanon. And by the way, when you think about diverse currents in the Caribbean, John Maxwell is much a part of that. And here he is talking about talking about Caribbean theology and African spirits and so on, and our connection with not just Obeah and voodoo, but even with the Quran and Muslim traditions, which in a sense seem to have escaped much of the English colonies as the English colonies was becoming assimilated or transformed or evolved into that in an English kind identity with English religion, stripping away anything that we brought over from that African heritage, or anything native to the land, to the West Indies. But this is quite powerful. It is a raw and savage irony that Bookman's compatriots in Jamaica should now be about to betray Bookman here in Haiti. Jamaica's Prime Minister, Mr. Patterson, made his intentions clear even before President Aristide arrived in Jamaica in April. I read between the lines then, but I was told that I was being alarmist. We should praise Mr. Patterson, I was told, instead of attacking him. This is what the Prime Minister said at the time. I want to emphasize that Mr. Aristide is not seeking political asylum in Jamaica. His stay in Jamaica is not expected to be in excess of 8 to 10 weeks. He is engaged in finalizing arrangements for permanent residence outside of the region. And this was due to this is due to an issue where between 2001 and 2004, Jean-Bertrand Aristide was trying to again put together a legal claim against France to recoup money. The debt that was paid to France, he was trying to get it back. And so there are those who were trying to put a stop to it in the post-industrial countries. And so there was an attempt to abduct, probably to assassinate Mr. Aristide. But I think, but in a sense, so what Mr. Maxwell is charging the government for is not to participate in any abduction, not to side with post-industrial countries or with the US and in destroying Haiti's democracy. So the article goes on to say, I want to emphasize that Mr. Aristide is not seeking political asylum in Jamaica. His stay in Jamaica is not expected to be in excess of 8 to 10 weeks. He is engaged in finalizing arrangements for permanent residence outside of the region. CARICOM remains committed to the goal of restoring and nurturing democracy in its newest member state, as well as the social and economic development of the people of Haiti. It was not true that President Aristide was finalizing arrangements for permanent residence outside of the region. Note again, it was not true that President Aristide was finalizing arrangements for permanent residence outside of the region. Aristide regards himself and is still prepared by most Haitians, by South Africa and other nations as the only legitimate president of Haiti. And neither Mr. Patterson nor Mr. Knight nor the US State Department can change that. If Jamaica were to obey international law, the question would not even arise, but Patterson and Knight, a couple of years ago, followed the example of North Korea and resigned from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, optional protocol on civil and political rights. With that track record, we can hardly expect them to take a principled view of the Haitian affair. The mask is off. The mask is on. The mask is off. The masqué is on. Masquerade. In Haiti, in the same week of Bakayiman, the so-called government of Haiti staged an elaborate masquerade as part of its continuing effort to rehabilitate the noisome collection of murderous drug-dealing bandits who gave certain foreigners an excuse to intervene, to depose Aristide in order to save his life and to prevent a bloodbath. While the world press is busy spreading flim-flam about Aristide resigning amid a popular revolt, it should be remembered that the popular revolutionaries were able to enter Port-au-Prince only under the auspices of foreign troops, while they had employed their brand new military issued M16 to terrorize and murder unarmed policemen in Gonaves. They were unable to take Port-au-Prince, fearing that the so-called Summaries, who supported Aristide's famille Lavalas, were waiting to greet them with their ancient muskets and soul force. Foreign intervention made it possible for Louis Jodel Champlain and various other criminal gunslingers to enter Port-au-Prince without challenges. And it goes on. It's a very long, and it goes on and on and on. I am going to stop there because my intention was not to read the end. My intention was to summarize it, but that's the gist of the article. So that was the first article. So the article expresses criticism towards the government of Jamaica, Trinidad, the Bahamas, Barbados, and CARICOM for their involvement with the government of Haiti. John Maxwell accuses them of cowardice and treachery for engaging with what they consider a criminal conspiracy with foreign governments. The article highlights the historical significance of the Haitian Revolution and the betrayal of its ideals by the Jamaican government. It also mentions the controversial trial and acquittal of Jackson Journes and Jodel Chamberlain, notorious Haitian rights abusers. The author John Maxwell questions the legitimacy of the trial and criticizes the interim Haitian government's human rights record. The article concludes by mentioning the recent political developments in Venezuela and Iraq, as well as the efforts of some Caribbean leaders to prevent the certification of the Haitian regime. Now, the second article, entitled Challenges to Democracy in Haiti, Manipulation and Misconduct. And the article, authored by Brian Concannon, analyzes the attempts made to undermine Rene Préval's victory in the elections. It sheds light on the Electoral Council's manipulation of the ballot count and engagement in misconduct, leading to international discussions about the need to restore democracy in Haiti. And I believe this was sometime in 2007. The open letter dated July 8, 2019, was addressed to the Secretary General of CARICOM, Caribbean Community, and the heads of state of CARICOM, member countries. The letter expressed concerns over gross violations of human rights in Haiti, particularly in the areas of La Saline, City Tokyo, and City Vincent. The delegation, led by U.S. congressmen, visited Haiti and received troubling reports of politically motivated attacks, killing, and the burning of homes. The attacks were allegedly organized by Haitian political authorities to suppress protests against corruption and brutality. The letter called on CARICOM and the heads of government to urgently address these human rights violations and to meet with grassroots leaders and survivors and advocate for accountability. The letter also emphasized the need for free, fair, and credible elections in Haiti and urged CARICOM to work with Haitian people to ensure democracy. Then there's another article entitled The Resource Curse, Impact on Haiti's Development. And the article exposes or explores the concept of the resource curse and its relevance to Haiti. It discusses how natural resource abundance can negatively impact developing nations, drawing parallels with Haiti's challenges in achieving sustainable development and democracy. The article, written by Brian Concannon Jr. and Mario Joseph in 2007, discusses the visit of Venezuela President Hugo Chavez to Haiti and the contrasting reception he received from the Haitian people compared to other Latin American figures, particularly those associated with the United Nations peacekeeping mission. The authors highlighted the popularity of Chavez among the Haitian population due to his stance against global power, inequalities, and his support for Haiti's fight for sovereignty. You know, I mean, what's going on here? C.L.R. James talked about Cuba and Fidel Castro. I know here it is that Hugo Chavez from Venezuela, if you guys know of Hugo Chavez, the communist president from Venezuela, visited Haiti, and he was well received by the Haitians, seen as a comrade. And of course, Hugo Chavez talked about the reception he received from the Haitian people compared to other Latin American figures, particularly those associated with the United Nations peacekeeping mission. And of course, Brian highlighted the popularity of Chavez among the Haitian population due to his stance against global power, inequalities, and his support for Haiti's fight for sovereignty. They also mentioned the tangible assistance Chavez provided to Haiti, such as oil, development aid, and collaboration with Cuban medical professionals. In contrast, The authors criticize the minister's actions, accusing the mission of of excessive use of force and failing to address the root causes of violence and poverty in Haiti. The root causes of violence and poverty in Haiti. They argue that the Haitian people perceive the mission as an occupying force, the United Nations peacekeeping force. They argue that the Haitian people perceive the peacekeeping force as an occupying force rather than a genuine peacekeeping mission. The authors emphasize the historical relationship between Haiti and Latin American countries. And it's not just Haiti, and we talk Haiti and Latin America, but not just Haiti. Haiti, Latin American, the West Indies and the Caribbean and the global South countries, former colonized countries. I'm going to extend that, drawing parallels to the actions of Simon Bolivar, and urge Latin American countries to reconsider their involvement in the United Nations peacekeeping mission and align themselves with the changing winds in the region. Because people would question whether the United Nations, are they about peacekeeping or are they really an intervention force? And the final article entitled Rebuilding Haiti. I had belched just now, I apologize. Rebuilding Haiti, the role of international support. Rebuilding Haiti, the role. This is the last letter I will share before we take a break and we have Mr. Concannon come on. I don't know what time it is. Please let me know when it's 5 minutes to the hour. Now, this article highlights the challenges faced by Haiti. And by the way, I wanted to compare the first letter that I just summarized and read a bit with this. Was it the second or the third one? The first letter with the third letter. And I wanted to do a contrast. What do you notice about these two letters, the first one and the third one? But in fact, what do you notice about these 4 articles? Now, this last article highlights the challenges faced by Haiti, and this was written by Mr. John Maxwell, particularly from the Haitian elite. We talk about elitism. We talk about race and ethnicity, so on and so forth. But Haiti has an elite. And of course, some time ago, I asked Mr. Concannon about the GDP. Haiti has a GDP. They have a GDP, and their GDP is higher than that of Jamaica when you look at it in a terms of national, but per capita of the population and the size, then they should have more GDP than what they currently have. But yet still they produce in Haiti. But there is but majority of the profits, where majority of it, they also have a high levels of income inequality and poverty, meaning that there is an elite. But the article here highlights the challenges faced by Haiti, particularly from the Haitian elite, and emphasizes the need for genuine support from the international community and neighboring countries like Jamaica. It underscores the importance of rebuilding Haiti and empowering its true elite to foster democracy and justice. And when we think about what's going on with Haiti and the PHTK and Ariel, the president, the current prime minister, the de facto prime minister, there is some amount of support that he's getting from the international community, from outsiders, those part of the Washington consensus of the neoliberal regime. He's getting local support from a particular from the elites in Haiti. Now, this particular article discusses the recent elections in Haiti, and I think and highlights the protest against ballot fraud rather than the fraud itself. It emphasizes that what matters is not the winning candidate, Rene Preval, but the fact that the people peacefully stood up for their democracy. 5 minutes? The author mentions Mr. Concannon. I'm wrapping up. Let me see if Mr. What time is it now, guys? What time is it? Let me read this final. Let me read this. Someone's mic is open. But let me finish this letter real quickly. The fact that the people peacefully stood up for their democracy. The author mentions Brian analysis stating that René Preval, was the clear choice of the Haitian people, despite various challenges they faced during the election process. The Electoral Council manipulated the ballot, count and engage in misconduct to prevent Preval from winning outright. Although the council eventually acknowledged Preval's victory, it was seen as a result of changing the rules rather than addressing the rule violations. The article also discussed the concept of the resource curse, which refers to the negative impact of natural resource abundance on developing nations. It suggests that Haiti's resources primarily lie in its strategic location and its people, but the country faces significant challenges, particularly from the Haitian elite, who prioritize their own interests over the well-being of the nation. The article concludes by stating that Haiti needs genuine support, especially from countries like Jamaica, to rebuild its economy and reclaim its true elite who have been driven away by the current power structure. And that's those. So I just shared with you 4 articles that provide some kind of brief background as to what's going on in Haiti. I will share these. I will send the full article links to you guys, where you guys can actually get a copy of it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and now it's now 1 minute before 8 o'clock. Mr. Brian will join us. Just before he joins us, any question? Have you guys noticed any difference between the first any of these articles? Anything that comes to mind just before Mr. Concannon comes out? Anyone? Are you guys there? Are you guys there?
Sir.
You notice? Yes. What you notice about that first letter that I read earlier? What have you guys noticed? What have you guys noticed about the first letter? The first letter that I read. Let me Keon, go ahead. Let me bring it up real quickly. So that you guys, let me share my screen again so you guys can see what I'm asking here. PowerPoint, Brian Concannon. Why do I have two presentation on here? I'm not sure. Something. Share. Oops. The first article I shared said that the article expresses criticism towards the government of Jamaica, Trinidad, the Bahamas, Barbados, and CARICOM for their involvement with the government of Haiti. They accuse them of cowardice and treachery for engaging with what they consider a criminal conspiracy. It highlights the historical significance of Haiti's revolution and the betrayal of its ideals by the Jamaican government. And then I go to let's go to the second one. The article written by Brian Jr. and Maria Joseph in 2000 discusses the visit of Venezuela's President Hugo Chavez to Haiti and the contrasting reception he received from the Haitian people compared to other Latin American figures, particularly those associated with the United Nations peacekeeping mission. The authors highlight the popularity of Chavez among the Haitian population due to his stance against global power inequalities, and his support for Haiti's fight for sovereignty. So, if I ask you, what do you notice about the first article that I read and this article? And your response would be what? What is your response? Anyone? I'm still waiting on I think Mr. Concannon came on just now. He might be on. Let me see. Brian is on. I will welcome Brian, but let me see if the students can answer this question real quickly. What do you notice about the first and the second? Remember the first one, I said, just before Mr. Brian comes on, the article expresses criticism towards the government of Jamaica, Trinidad, the Bahamas, Barbados, and CARICOM for their involvement with the government of Haiti. While this one, look at this one, discusses the visit of Venezuela President Hugo Chavez to Haiti and the contrasting reception he received from the Haitian people compared to other Latin American countries, particularly those associated with the United Nations. They highlighted the popularity of Chavez. So any contrast, what do you notice about these two, based on what I've said so far?
Sure. Good evening, sir. I believe as it relates to Jamaica and Barbados involvement, maybe 80 saw them as not supporting them rather than having affiliation with United States, while Venezuela was more accepted by Haiti.
Why? Why do you say that? And not Venezuela, the president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez.
Yes, sir.
Why was he why in this article he seemed to have been more accepted by the Haitians, while the other articles seem to discredit the CARICOM actions?
I'm not sure, sir, but maybe.
Well, maybe yes, you are sure. You actually mentioned it in a sense. Okay.
As it relates to the support, maybe 80 was looking for support from CARICOM, and I never really get that support, sir.
Notice, so, Mr. Concannon and Mr. Joseph highlight the popularity of Chavez among the Haitian population due to his stance against global power. His stance. Notice the first one, and of course, power in global power, inequalities, and his support for Haiti's fight for their sovereignty. The first one was written by a Jamaican, actually, by someone in the Caribbean, and and even the letter before, the one that talks about KD Knight and Mr. PJ Patterson, it talks about them. It also paints a picture of their stance as being one that was cowardice. Yes? Cowardice as against the cowardice in the fight for justice, for sovereignty, and it talks about betrayal. But but look at Hugo Chavez, his fight, and then we played the video with Sailor James talking about Cuba, Fidel Castro, and the Cubans in their revolution. They are not black, but their revolution is West Indian. But it is as if the articles that I present to you, when you look at them, it paints a particular light. It's as if we are moving away. And I said to you in the recent class, when you look at the history of these dynamic figures like Franz Fanon, C.L.R. James, Walter Rodney, Maurice Bishop, so on and so forth, you find there was something that connects them. They were connected in that fight, that West Indian fight for sovereignty, independence, nationalism. And they all they saw it was the fight, hate. It was as if they were all fighting together for one thing. But fast forward to today and what's going on in Haiti today, John Maxwell and others are pointing out the importance of the importance of that stance of continuing that spirit, that West Indian spirit, or that human rights spirit of nationalism and advocating for justice and fighting for each, not just being selfish, but also thinking about not just our own self, but for others and our stance. Because in this article, it seemed as if we are working backwards and working with external forces to penetrate and to sway and to interfere in Haiti, rather than fighting outsiders to ensure that Haiti's independence is protected. And then, of course, we talk about being cowardice. But this is great. But these are good background, and I'll send these to you. But we're going to stop here, and we'll continue. But I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I will go to the. We are at the point where Brian Concannon is the executive director, and he's a human rights attorney for the Institute for Justice and Democracy. He will update us on the IDHD and their work, and what they're doing in terms of promoting human rights and justice and bringing democracy, restoring democracy in Haiti. I said to you the last class, they have a petition on their front to the US government. We have one working on petitioning the CARICOM. And it's great when it's good to work like that. And of course, he tweeted, or his organization tweeted something recently, and I found it quite interesting that he said that one of the ways that post-industrial countries maintain, or two of the ways that post-industrial countries maintain their advantage, is one, through debt, and he referenced Haiti, and that was it's very important as we study Caribbean thought and post-colonialism. This is a very pivotal and vital issue. And the second thing is, and that's why it's important to study Haiti when we study post-colonialism and independence. And I said to you, Haiti as a case study. And then secondly, the issue of foreign interference. So we will have him now with us. And I will stop sharing my screen. And Mr. Concannon, welcome to Caribbean Thought. It's great to have you. Welcome back. Yes, your mic.
Okay, sorry about that. It's great to be back with you, and I really appreciate you, Renaldo, inviting me back, and to all the other participants for having me.
Definitely, and we're so happy to have you. I was giving them some background. I summarized and shared the full letters quickly, and I noted some contrasting themes, which was quite powerful to work with. And so I will give you an opportunity to share and to present what's going on with the IJDH, what you've been up to with the work, what's going on in Haiti, and with Ariel and the PhD. There's been quite some violence lately, and probably you could tell us some in terms of what's going on there. And then, of course, and two things that I pointed out earlier, which I would love for you to explore. And then the class will have a chance to ask you some questions. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Well, let me start with kind of updating what we talked about last time I was on. And one of the things we talked about was Haiti's restitution claim, which,
yes,
as we discussed, comes out of the fact that Haiti was forced to pay France compensation for its freedom, which it had won on the battlefield. But the whole world got together, and the whole world being powerful countries that had built their power on slavery, and they all refused to recognize Haiti. And the only way that Haiti could get recognition and be allowed entrance into the world economy was to pay off France. Haiti ended up not having to borrow money from French banks to do it. It paid those loans off from 1823 until 1947, and during that 124 years, Haiti really had to put everything in its economy into paying off that loan. So instead of building schools and hospitals and roads and industry and government infrastructure, Haiti put all its money into growing export agriculture where it could get the hard currency it needed to pay off the loan. And to a large extent, Haiti's the current crisis that we see today in the news, with a weak state, deep poverty, that is the direct result of the French independence debt. And another thing that we talked about when I was last with you, but that I think has become more apparent, is that Haiti's underdevelopment is not an unintended side effect of the French debt. Haiti's current weakness and Jamaica's relative weakness compared to European countries, for example, is the intended consequence of a whole range of policies. And as you mentioned in the introduction, those include debt, international financial institutions. It includes migration policy. It includes, support or lack of support for democratic structures. It includes interfering in internal affairs of poor countries. And all of that is designed to keep countries like Haiti and Jamaica underdeveloped and weak. And the reason for that, and this is not an irrational policy, and this has always been a rational policy. It's always been white supremacist and deplorable, but it has also always been rational. I mean, the whole point is to keep countries like Haiti down so that there's less competition. And that is what allows the current international world order, which, at least in the Americas, is still based on slavery. I mean, the countries that have power in this hemisphere, the United States, France, Britain, they have that power because they got power through slavery, and they've maintained that power through continued exploitation of other countries. And so we've been talking a lot about that. One of the places we talked about it that I think will be really, you'll find interesting, was at the Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. Sorry, let me say that again. It's the Permanent Forum on Peoples of African Descent, which is a forum that was established at the United Nations, coming out of the Global Conference Against Racism in 2003, I think it was, in Durban, South Africa. And ever since then, groups of people of African descent have been pushing the United Nations to say, hey, we need our own thing. And the United Nations has set it up. And the first session of the Permanent Forum was in Geneva in December. The second one was in May in New York. And it was, I was going to say I'm not of African descent. I mean, all humans are of African descent, but I can't say I've suffered from slavery. My ancestors were Irish, so we suffered from a different kind of imperialism, but definitely not slavery. But I was there really to support my colleague Mario Joseph, who you mentioned, who wrote that article with me, and he's a Haitian human rights lawyer, and I was there to translate and make sure that he was able to get his work done. And it was really exciting because you had people from all over the world. The Africa, of course, was well represented. The Caribbean was very well represented, and North America and Europe were all well represented, and also South America, Asia. I mean, throughout the world, it was kind of exciting to hear people coming from everywhere. And one of the things that we were talking about was this issue of Haiti's restitution, and that Haiti. The other thing that we talked about in the class last time is that it's kind of the sequel to the restitution was when in 2003, Haiti asked for its money back. The government made a claim. It had not yet presented the claim in a court. It was preparing it for the International Court of Justice. But before Haiti could get that far and actually file its complaint with the International Court of Justice, France made sure it couldn't do it. So France, along with the United States, they deposed Haiti's president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, sent him to exile in the Central African Republic, then briefly Jamaica, then to South Africa for a while. But what they were trying to do, the reason why France and the US made such an effort to overthrow a Haitian president was because Haiti had a very strong claim for restitution. They knew that if it got into the International Court of Justice, it would be hard for France to duck it. And they felt that if Haiti got justice for its claim for restitution, that would open up the door for everybody. So everybody harmed by the slave trade, Africa, Caribbean, North America, Europe, they could all make claims for justice for the harms that their ancestors suffered. That would obviously be huge. That would be transformational. It would allow countries like Jamaica and Haiti to catch up to the wealthy countries of Europe and North America. And that's something that those countries just couldn't afford to let happen. So just as in 1804, they could not allow Haiti's example of a country run by free Black people to succeed. They couldn't allow in 2004, they could not allow Haiti as an example of a country that was winning justice against powerful countries succeed. So they made sure that it didn't. And I was actually on today a conference on Haiti's security crisis. And it was a good conference in that you had experts from Haiti and all over the place. It was a bad conference in that they were talking about a very distressing situation. But that situation is a direct result of the overthrow of President Aristide in 2004. Haiti has never recovered the level of democracy that it had before the coup d'etat. And again, this is intentional. Haiti has not recovered the level of democracy. It has also not made its claim for restitution. And so, it's distressing that how, to the extent that the international community has consistently supported the current Haitian government, even though the government, at least over the last 10 years, has really worked hard to dismantle democracy. Just for some quick highlights on that, Haiti does not have a single elected official in office. Gangs control anywhere from 50 to 90% of the capital. Half of all Haitians are facing hunger this year. Over 100,000 kids under 5 are facing chronic wasting from hunger. That's how bad things are in Haiti. And this is a direct result of a government stealing money and dismantling democracy, always with the support of the international community. There's a UN human rights mission in Haiti, or UN justice mission in Haiti, that keeps giving glowing reports of how the government is trying to establish democracy. Even though each report, there's demonstrably less democracy. There's one thing, I'm not sure if you saw this, I tweeted it. This was actually, you couldn't even make this up as a parody. The International Monetary Fund issued a report saying how proud they were of supporting the Haitian government to, I don't have the quote exactly right, but it was to increase the stability of democracy and increase macroeconomic stability in Haiti. They increased macroeconomic stability when 115,000 kids are wasting from hunger. Inflation's over 20%. And that's what they consider economic stability. And it's only because the government is not, their idea of economic stability is a country that is not destabilizing the economies of wealthy countries by demanding justice.
This is powerful. This is powerful. I'm so happy. I have just before, so you said that there is, just before I asked the students, you said that there was a conference today. It was bad because they were talking about the overthrow of Aristide, and since then they have not recovered.
Yeah, well, the conference today was about Haiti's security crisis. And so people were talking about how bad it is. They weren't actually, today they weren't, and that was kind of my role there. People weren't talking about how that this was the result of the 2004 coup d'etat. In part, I talked to, actually, when the conference organizers invited me, I said, I'm going to talk about this stuff. I'm going to say that this is the government dismantling democracy, and this is that with the international community's support. And the organizers said, you know, and I thought they might push back and ask me to be diplomatic, and they said, say exactly that. And they say, no one else is going to say it. They say, you know, we're living in Haiti. We can get killed if we say that. Or other people are working for the World Bank or want to work for the World Bank or want to work for the US government. They said that no one else is going to say what you're saying, but everybody's going to agree with you. And that's exactly what happened. You know, in the comments section, everybody said, yeah, that's the truth, that's the truth, that's the truth. But no one else was able to say that. And, you know, and I have substantial privilege, you know, as a white person, as a lawyer living in the United States. I'm not living in Haiti. And I was able to say those things, but it's remarkable that most of the people weren't able to. They were able to talk about the symptoms, but they weren't able to talk about the real causes of the problem, which is the international community propping up a corrupt, repressive government.
Okay, this is powerful. I have so many questions in terms of the international community as against the CARICOM as part of that international community, which is more regional. And we at once we know that Haiti became a member state of CARICOM. When was that? 2019? I don't remember. When was that? No,
they were a member before that. I think it was like 2002 when they first actually
2003, 2002. Yes, correct. But I'm not sure what's going on now in terms of what is CARICOM saying? What is CARICOM's position? I know some of the students may have some comment on that. But before we get into that, it's quite interesting. You said that the international community seems to be supporting the de facto government, Ariel. But you look at what happened many years ago, the international community seemed to not have been supporting Aristide.
Well, they kidnapped him. And they literally forced him on a U.S. plane and made him leave.
Well, it's quite interesting that they're quick to support Ariel, but not support Aristide. Is it because of this debt issue?
It's because, I mean, that's part of it. Aristide was generally asking for justice. So he would go to the United Nations and make a talk connecting poverty in countries like Haiti and Jamaica with the international economic structure. And it was things like that they couldn't accept happening. You know, really is ideas. You know, a lot of time, you know, in the United States, especially where we're taught to look for kind of motives like oil or someone's posing some kind of a military threat to our interests. But that wasn't the case in Haiti at all. It really was ideas that were deeply dangerous. I mean, if Haiti was allowed to talk at the UN and say that the international economic order is unjust, then other people would do it. And pretty soon, if you look at the membership of the UN, the wealthy countries, especially Western Europe and in North America, they're a small percentage of the countries. They wield, and, you know, and the UN talks a lot about democracy, but it's an incredibly undemocratic place.
Yes.
You know, just one example is the UN Security Council, which is the most powerful entity in the UN Security Council. In the UN is the Security Council. There are 5 permanent members, and they're the ones who basically have all the power. The 5 permanent members are China, Russia, France, Great Britain, and the United States. And so if you just take France, Great Britain, and the United States, they have 3 of the 5 votes on the Security Council. So a majority, they have 60% of the votes of the permanent votes on the Security Council. That's an incredible axis of power, especially because they agree on everything, on most things, and they vote together. So they have this sort of automatic majority in the Security Council, which is the most powerful part of the UN. They have less than 6% of the world's population, but 60% of the power on the Security Council. And that's just an example of sort of the international injustice. And Aristide would point those things out. And that was just not allowed to be to happen in places like the UN or in Haiti. And so they said, you know, so the US was more of that, the idea of that. But France, and this was you know, this isn't just me saying it. We talked last time about the New York Times did a series on Haiti's independence day. And they actually got the former French ambassador to admit this. He said, yeah, that's why we pushed him out. We pushed Aristide out because he was making that claim. You know, amazingly honest for him to say that, but very talented.
And by the way, let me just, the students, we're going to be talking about, we're going to be defining neoliberalism, neoliberal globalization, neo-capitalism. It's very important that we define that, because we're also talking about what kind of economic system we have in Jamaica or the Caribbean. We talk about dependent capitalism, but Mr. Concannon made a very important point. He talked about the United Nations, the Security Council, and the issue of bureaucracy, so to speak, the bureaucracy within the system, and how the Caribbean is as part of that bureaucracy. And I talk about in the 1960s, the 70s, as we speed towards independence, we are met with this bureaucracy. Of course, the federation that we should have had left us, but now we had the CARICOM. But of course, right now we are asking CARICOM. There is a petition that we are doing. And by the way, the CARICOM that we developed, we want to thank Mr. Concannon for helping me, because you helped us write that petition. So just so you know, he's a human rights attorney, and he helped us with the legal language and so on. So we want to appreciate Mr. Concannon for that. So, so the question is, what's going on? We know that CARICOM, there was a decision, or there was the question of whether or not to send an intervention force in the Caribbean. And we were petitioning against that and fighting against that. But I know CARICOM had met some time ago, and their decision was not to send, and they were not in support of sending an intervention force in. However, they were going to now, and the US backtracked a bit and said, no, they're going to send a peacekeeping force. Do you know what's going on with that so far?
Yeah, so currently the US is still trying to get a peacekeeping force. So far, the problem is that the US does not want, they want a force to happen, but they don't want US soldiers on the front lines. And so they've been trying since October to try to get other countries to lead the force. And CARICOM has always been sort of the first choice, because they're Haiti's neighbors. And part of it is that is for public relations. I mean, any force that comes into Haiti is going to, it'll be there to support a repressive government, and it will be there to try to stop gang violence. Both of those tasks, supporting the repressive government and going after gangs, will require the troops, just the way that this is how troops respond to these kinds of things, to be shooting people, including innocent people, shooting people who are not shooting back at them. And the US does not like the optics of its soldiers, especially white soldiers, doing that dirty work. So what they're trying to do is to recruit another country to do it, where the optics, especially at least for the US, are going to be much better. Because if it's Jamaican troops shooting at poor black men in the Cité Soleil neighborhood, then the US is going to say, oh no, that's not racist, they're Jamaicans. And that's kind of what they're trying to do. So far, Jamaica has repeatedly and no uncertain, sorry, no, not Jamaica, CARICOM has repeatedly and in no uncertain terms said, no, we're not going to do it. At this point, I don't see that policy changing. There are a couple of countries. I think Dominica is one. I think Barbados is one, and St. Vincent are all adamantly opposed to any military force. And the statements that have come out of CARICOM have been saying, we're not going to send a force until you have a political solution, which means, they're not going to send troops to support a repressive, corrupt dictatorship, which is, of course, completely compliant with international law. Unfortunately, so that's CARICOM's position, and recently reaffirmed, I think 2 weeks ago, following the meeting in Jamaica about Haiti and a visit by the United States Vice President. But Jamaica is still, including Prime Minister Holness, he's actually leading the charge within CARICOM to get CARICOM to deploy troops. So Prime Minister Holness recently, I think within the last week, has renewed his expression of interest in participating in that force. And so I think what's happening now is there's a battle. The U.S. is still trying to divide CARICOM, kind of divide and conquer, trying to separate countries that it perceives as being supportive of intervention in Haiti, and trying to get them to prevail over the countries that are resisting it.
You talk about a political solution, and when you think about CARICOM was established to protect independence, to promote democracy, and that when you have a kind of regional understanding between governments. And I know you indicated that CARICOM wants a more political solution. And then the question is, what does a political solution looks like? Then of course it would look like you have a political parties and people vying for power and so on and so forth. But earlier you said that there was every time we get the report about Haiti, the report has been about the de facto Prime Minister Ariel stealing money and dismantling democracy. So if we have a guy in place, if the solution is a political one, if the solution is to promote and to plant the seeds for parties and for people to run and have choices and so on and so forth, which is what the Haitians want. But you have a situation where the guy who is holding the front, who is leading, it seems like that's not his intention. So, and he is more and more dismantling democracy, because majority of the other party, they are locked up in jail. So, I mean, what do you know what's happening in terms of political parties and so on and so forth?
Yeah, people are locked up in jail. I mean, not all politicians, but enough are to keep people in line, and people are being killed. The president was killed, and he was killed. It'll be in about 2 weeks. It'll be 2 years, and not a single person has been formally charged in Haiti in his assassination. I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. A president assassinated, 2 years later, nobody charged in Haiti. And in part because some of the evidence leads to the prime minister. And a lot of the evidence is that he was killed by, some combination of his own political party and economic elites and drug traffickers. And so nobody the powers that be don't want uncomfortable questions answered in court. So they're just slow walking this and preventing anything from happening. But you're absolutely right that the current prime minister, so he's there, he was not chosen through any Haitian process. He was nominated by President, or he was not formally nominated, but 2 days before President Moise was killed, he picked him. He said, okay, I want him to be my next prime minister, but he had not started any formal procedures. Then he was killed. When he was killed, the existing prime minister, named Claude Joseph, when President Moise was killed, Claude Joseph kind of took over as head of state. He was the existing prime minister. But about a week and a half later, the international community issued an announcement said, oh no, we are recognizing Ariel Henry, not Claude Joseph, as prime minister.
This is new. I didn't get that. I didn't realize that's what happened. So there was a head, but then the international community made the announcement who they want to lead.
Yep. It was a group, it's an organization a group called the Core Group of Countries, which includes, it's led by the United States. There's the EU is part of it. The OAS may be part of it. A couple European countries, I think France and Spain, Canada is part of it, and a couple of one or two Caribbean countries. I'm forgetting which ones they are, but it's run by powerful countries that got their power through slavery, and they literally issued an announcement saying that none of them being Haitians, saying that Ariel Henry gets to be prime minister of Haiti, and that is how he got named. So he didn't come through any Haitian process. He's corrupt and repressive. He has no political support in Haiti other than the people who are benefiting from his corruption and repression. Deeply unpopular. The only reason he's there is that he's being propped up by the international community. And the United States and the UN mission, everybody all keeps talking about, oh yeah, we need to move towards democracy. But they also say, that's the line A. Line B but Ariel Henry needs to be part of any solution. And once they insist that he's part of the solution, that ensures that there will be no solution, because he has no incentive. Moving towards elections to him is suicide. He's not going to win. He and his party cannot win fair elections. And so if he has them, he's going to lose power, probably be prosecuted. And his party will lose power. All his friends will lose power. They won't be able to steal money anymore. And so they have no incentive to go to elections. And as long as the United States and other countries are propping him up, that's one more day he gets to consolidate power. One more day he gets to steal money, repress his enemies. And that's basically the dynamic that is happening, is that the international community is propping him up in a way that prevents Haitians from moving forward towards democracy. Renaldo, I think you're muted. Missing your wisdom.
It's quite interesting. Wow. I'm going to add that other piece. I didn't realize that there was a interim prime minister who was overlooked by the international. And there was, you said, this is quite, just before the student, let me just repeat what you just said. Ariel, the de facto president, did not come through go through any Haitian process. He's a corrupt person who serves the international community's interest. That's quite powerful. Class, any question for Mr. Concannon? Any question? You guys don't have any question for Mr. Concannon? What do you think? What are your reflections when you listen, when you hear the presentation? What goes to mind in terms of independence and our own responsibility as Caribbean members, and what it is that we can do to bring about justice and democracy? What comes to mind? What are you guys thinking about?
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr.
Let me see your faces, guys.
Okay,
come on.
good. All right, no problem. Okay, you're seeing me now?
Yeah, man. Let's see. I want to see the class. I am shocked to hear you guys, and I need to see you guys. Yes, Susie, go ahead.
All right. So, I have learned that Mr. Concannon is a lawyer, right?
That's correct.
Then at first, when I noticed that you were coming to the class, I tried to find out a little about you, where you're from and stuff like that, because I wanted to know, why is it that you have a vested interest in Haiti and the democracy of Haiti as well? You said that your friend is a lawyer, and he's the person who is advocating for the people of Haiti. So you are just there as mere support, is it?
Well, that's when we were at the Permanent Forum on Peoples of African Descent, because it was really for people of African descent to be talking.
All right, Mr. Concannon, my question to you: you're Irish. Yep. You're from Irish descent, but you were born in the U.S.?
I was, yeah.
Okay. So why is it that the democracy of Haiti stands out for you? Why is it that you really want to help these people?
Yeah, that's a great question, Susie. I think part of it is my heritage coming from Ireland, which is a country that was treated, unfairly and exploited by the British. I think that sort of just hearing stories growing up, it gave me a sense of injustice and the need to fight for injustice. And also growing up in the United States, where I wasn't being exploited by Britain, and that gave me privileges. I had the opportunity to get an education, to go to law school, and I always felt that that as someone who was granted privileges, I had an obligation to use those privileges for people who were not granted the same privileges. And I didn't start off my human rights career thinking I'd be doing Haiti forever. Haiti was I was looking to get into doing human rights work, and Haiti was really the first job. I got a job through as a volunteer in the UN Volunteers Program in Haiti. And I thought I'd stay for, a year or 2 years and then go somewhere else. I mean, it's a big, fascinating world, and there's lots of other places I've wanted to go to. But I went to Haiti in 1995, and here I am 28 years later, still working on Haiti. And the reason for that is that, I feel that, part of it's just personal. I've had the opportunity to work with really inspiring people who are just absolutely amazingly persistent and creative and thoughtful and intelligent human rights activists. But it's also, I think, something that it's been important to me as someone from the United States, which the United States for at least the last 100 years has been a key part of keeping Haiti down. And I felt that, someone as someone from the United States who's benefited from the US exploitation of other countries, that I had a calling to try to be part of getting a more fair treatment by the world of Haiti.
Mr. Concannon, it is good that you have a conscience, honestly, because even though you have not directly afflicted these people, you know that you are a beneficiary of the state that has inflicted wounds on these people for quite some time. When I was growing up as a child, in Jamaica here, during my childhood, the place to go was Haiti. A lot of the Igles, they would go to Haiti and buy things to come back and sell and stuff. As I grow up, I realized that Haiti is no more the place. And I wonder what has happened to Haiti's economy. Sorry. I wondered what has happened to Haiti's economy, And I see, I totally not heard anything of Haiti for the longest of while. Believe me, if I had not come to this institution doing this course, is as though the only thing you hear about Haiti is when it's on the news, when a disaster strikes, there are things like those. So it is very good to know that, somebody has given thought to Haiti. Because as I said, when I was younger, to want to go to Haiti, to come back and be an entrepreneur was an ambitious thing to do. No, you don't want to go to Haiti for any reason. Because when you think of Haiti, you think disaster, diseases, and stuff like that. So it is very good that somebody really thinks of them. But you mentioned Haiti buying their independence that they had to buy back from France and the US, is it? And it was done with loan that was borrowed from France. So when you think about these kinds of loans, it's as though you will never be able to finish pay these debts off. So Haiti is like what you would have called them now. They're under France's bandage no matter what. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep. No, that's very well said. You just explained Haitian history. They're under bondage no matter what.
Yes. So how is it? Can we envision, or do we have a right to sit down and envision an empowered Haiti? Do you think that can come in the far or near future, seeing where things are at now? It's like the better part of Haiti's economy is guns. You understand? I don't know where they get so much guns from. Jamaica is like a a co-partner with Haiti where drugs and guns are concerned. And I wonder where Haiti get these guns from. The same energy that is used to produce these guns, maybe they could use it to do something to better themselves. You understand? Instead of creating weaponry for destruction. You understand? So I'm asking now, can we tonight get the assurance that our Caribbean brothers and sisters one day will sing the song of victory again, that their economy can improve and they can live a better standard of life, you know, a more holistic standard of life?
So if you asked any Haitian, if my colleague Mario were here, almost any Haitian, you asked them, will Haitians someday, I think you said, sing the song of freedom? Was that your quote?
Yes,
they would say very confidently, yes, because Haitians, they won't quit fighting. I mean, they beat Napoleon. Napoleon, one of the greatest military leaders in the history of the world, they beat him without help from anybody else. And so Haitians are going to keep fighting. They're going to win. They have amazing strength and persistence. The question isn't, are they going to be able to sing the song of freedom again? The question is, what kind of a price are they going to pay and how long is that going to take? And what price they pay is to a large extent in the hands of those of us outside Haiti. And, you know, to me, that's my mission, is to try to make my country willing to accept democracy and freedom in Haiti. And, you know, Renaldo talked about the petition that your class is working on. That is another way of doing that. And I think we can all, you know, we all have a role to play in supporting Haitian democracy. You know, you're from Jamaica, you're not going to change US policy, but you can change, you can impact Jamaican policy. And if the Jamaican government knows that its citizens want it to stand by Haiti instead of the United States, then it's going to be more supportive of democracy in Haiti. And I don't want to, you know, I don't want to ignore the fact that Jamaica is under a lot of, I mean, as all the countries in the Americas are, they're under a lot of pressure from the United States. And there's things that, you know, if they do too much to support Haiti.
I was going to mention our level of dependability on the US, you understand, and the impact of standing for our Caribbean brothers and sisters would have on Jamaica's economy and a whole. You understand? But
exactly. Yeah, and we can't forget that. But, you know, there are, and here's an example. I mean, one of the things Renaldo was talking about was when Haiti became a CARICOM member. And I know it was before 2004, because in 2004, when there was a coup d'etat and President Aristide was kidnapped, the United Nations refused to try to do anything to prevent that kidnapping. The OAS actually has within its charter, they have a thing called the Inter-American Democratic Charter that says, if any of our countries become not democratic, then we need to go through these procedures that lead to them being suspended. CARICOM has the exact same language in its founding documents. The OAS never once even had a hearing to talk about any consequences for Haiti becoming undemocratic and its president being kidnapped. CARICOM, right from the beginning, said, we are going to stand up for our principles, and we're not going to recognize the new government in Haiti because it's not democratic, and our charter says you need to be democratic. And, you know, it's incredibly hypocritical for the OAS to do this, because the OAS, a big part of what they do is criticize Cuba for not being democratic. But here, they will allow Haiti to be undemocratic, but not Cuba. And so in 2004, you know, CARICOM really did stand up. It was under a huge amount of pressure. I mean, I heard from Caribbean leaders stories about, you know, prime ministers and foreign ministers getting pulled out of bed at 1 a.m. The US would call them and say, you need to do this. And especially when Aristide was in Jamaica for about 6 weeks after the coup, saying they were just calling top Jamaican leaders and saying, you've got to get him out of the hemisphere. And, so totally understand. And the threat behind that would be, we're going to put a travel warning on Jamaica. So, we're going to really hurt your tourist industry. And those are really serious threats. And, I see part of my job is trying to prevent my government from doing those kinds of things. But it also, Jamaica, all of CARICOM found a way to resist that. They weren't issuing statements criticizing the U.S. for overthrowing the government. What they would do is this very sort of clever diplomatic language. They would say, our principles are you need to be democratic. Haiti isn't democratic, so Haiti's not invited. And I think a lot of the same things happen if you look at the CARICOM statements about the intervention. They don't say intervention is a white supremacist bad idea. They say, oh, intervention isn't appropriate without a political solution, which is a very diplomatic way of saying, no way, we're not going to do it, because they know the whole point of the intervention is to support an undemocratic government. So they know that, that them saying that means we're not doing the intervention. But they are resisting. And I don't want to either minimize the extent to which Caribbean countries are under pressure and the courage it takes to resist, to do the kinds of resistance they've been doing. But I do think that they'll find more courage to resist if they think that their citizens have their back on this and want them to have that courage.
All right. A few years ago,
Susie, hold on a sec.
Yes.
There might be other students with questions. Just so, Haiti became a member of CARICOM this 2nd of July 2002. 2nd of July 2002. My correction. Sorry, but just before, Susie, can you give me a second? Did any other student have any question? We only have 7 minutes left.
Okay, sir.
And stick a pin. Any other student have any questions for Mr. Brian? No student, no question. Yes,
Sir,
Sasha.
just one for me.
Go ahead.
We are aware that the US and other international communities are interference with the democracy of Haiti, but isn't there anything in the Haitian constitution to hold the current leader accountable for refusing the citizens from democracy?
Oh, this said, ask that question again, and please let me see your face. Very good. I love that question. I mean, you see, when I get you guys to talk, you guys just have some amazing questions. You guys think no question is ridiculous. Bring it on. We love it. Let me see your face, Sasha, and ask that very poignant question again, please.
Sir, I just wanted to know if there's anything in the Constitution to hold the current leader accountable for refusing the citizens from democracy.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, I mean, all of this is unconstitutional, but Haiti's constitution is completely ignored. I mean, you literally have in the constitution, I forgot how many, but it's several thousand elected officials, lots of local elected officials, 2 houses of parliament, a Senate and a House of Deputies, and a president. And then you have a specific process for choosing a prime minister and ministers. None of that is constitutional. There's not a single elected official in office. Every single minister was appointed in a way not recognized by the government, not recognized by the Constitution. The 8 of the 9 Supreme Court justices were appointed by a process that is not recognized in the Constitution. So it's basically the Haiti Constitution has been thrown out. Our colleagues at my colleague Mario Joseph and his team it's called the International Lawyers Office, or BAI. It's a law firm, a public interest law firm in Port-au-Prince. They, in better times, when things were working better, they would file a lawsuit against the prime minister for his illegal acts. Now they just know there's no way anything good is going to happen. It's not going to go forward. What we're doing to hold people accountable is there is an organization called the the Haitian Observatory for Crimes Against Humanity. And they've been working on reports and collecting evidence so that at some point, when Haiti's democracy does come back, we are going to be able to do things to hold people accountable. There was a report put out now, it's 2 years ago, by the Haitian Observatory, along with a law school in the United States, Harvard Law School, that talked about that what the government was doing, especially attacks. So the government has been working with gangs to do these attacks, very murderous attacks on neighborhoods that support the opposition. The report by the Haitian Observatory and Harvard Law School concluded that those were crimes against humanity. And so we're doing the legal analysis and collecting the facts so that at some point that, when, to use Susie's phrase, when Haiti is singing the song of freedom, then we'll be able to have some kind of accountability. But right now, there's just no chance, unfortunately.
Sorry, your mic is muted.
Thank you so much, Sasha, for that. Oh, thank you. But one of the things that we're hoping for is that we could use this to, in a sense, drive some fear into Ariel. Let him know that, listen, Ariel, if we can file a lawsuit after this and pressure the international human rights advocacy group, because this is quite interesting. They have a constitution, it's not being followed. So right now, as it stands, and he's supposed to be steering the country, but that's not what's happening. It's quite interesting. Any more question? We have 2 minutes before we wrap up. Any more question?
All right, so I'll ask the last question then.
Go ahead.
It relates to the restitution, because I remember a few years ago, there was a group, I don't know if it is the Rastafarians, who were trying to sanction restitution from the British on behalf of Jamaica. But then I don't know how many international help we had where that is concerned. So yourself, Mr. Concannon, and your other colleagues who are fighting on behalf of Haiti, I'm just wishing you all the best where that is concerned, and just hoping that whatever they get, could go toward the cause of just elevating themselves back to the position where they were. It's going to take time because Haiti has economy to build, infrastructure to build, everything to go back to the place where it was. So I'm just wishing you all the best and just hoping that others will come on board who is influential enough to make the cry louder on their behalf.
Well, thank you, Susie. And that's actually an update that I forgot to give about one of the things that happened at this the Permanent Forum on People of African Descent that I went to in New York with my colleague Mario. One of the meetings we went to was a meeting of about Caribbean efforts within the Caribbean to get reparations. And it was actually really exciting hearing what was going on. There were some government officials, there were professors, there were activists. It was a really interesting panel and exciting about what's happened. So CARICOM has a reparations commission, and they put out a 10-point plan that is really forward thinking. I mean, it's probably, the most advanced effort to get reparations by any group of countries. And it really is kind of applying pressure on the international community to take this claim seriously. And one of the things they said, there was some of the speakers, they were trying to explain that we should be hopeful about this, and they talked about a lot of things that had happened lately. And one of them was that the Church of England in England has not how much they gave, but they acknowledged that they needed to pay reparations, and they they gave, I think it was maybe $500 million, which they said was not enough, but it was a start. You've also in the United States, you've had several universities, including Renaldo, Georgetown, where both of us have studied.
Yes.
That have acknowledged that part of their, that they built their institution on the backs of slavery, and they're taking actions to pay some kind of reparations. And there's a bunch of other things happening. So there really is some progress, and I think there is good reason to be hopeful. There needs to be a lot more work, and we need to keep fighting. But it, I think it's exciting that everybody in that session. So my colleague Mario was the only Haitian there, but everybody else who spoke talked about Haiti, as being kind of central to how Caribbean leaders felt the reparations case was based on. And so, I think that there are, and afterwards Mario spoke with lots of people and exchanged a lot of business cards, and there was a lot of good ideas back and forth. So I'm looking forward to that bearing fruit and to having continued collaboration among people from, Jamaica and Dominica and people from Trinidad. So we're sort of all over the CARICOM countries with their brothers and sisters in Haiti.
This is powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Brian, any update on IJDH, the next steps, what's going on with the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti?
We're still trying to push the international community to respect democracy and justice in Haiti. Nothing big. Well, for people who want to know an update, we just put out a big report last week. Every 6 months, we put out a human rights report that explains what's happened in the last 6 months in Haiti. And so that's, if anybody's looking for more details about what's going on in Haiti, go to our website, which is www.ijdh.org, and you can find all of the reports, including the one that just came out on that site.
Thank you so much. And I just actually went on your website and I saw the interview that we did some time ago. I was like, oh, there it is. We are there. We are live. That was powerful. And we are going to put this one out. This is going to be available. What was quite powerful was what one of the students said to me. What Susie said earlier about, you don't know what's going on in Haiti when you're in Jamaica and some of these Caribbean. It's as if you don't know what's going on in the other Caribbean countries. In fact, especially in Jamaica, when I lived in Jamaica, and you would read the Gleaner, Haiti would be at the back page or the Caribbean page, but still nothing is really known. You think about, the only integration that we have is with the CARICOM or the governments, just talk at various meetings and wear their suit and tie, which is the hallmark of what Homi Baba in the Location of Culture talks about, this guilty of swaying towards this Britishness, this Englishness, this privilege kind of but I believe as citizens, and Susie, you came to this course, you guys have a responsibility as well to share this. Now you have an academic education and you come to this academic institution. Now you get to go to your communities and have the discussion. The discussions here are important because, I said to you, Haiti provides a case study of how countries continue to maintain advantage. And we are all together in the fight. So please go to www.ijdh.org. Share this video and the other videos that we have. I'm going to be writing an article about this as well. I'm going to be turning the transcript into an article. You guys will get a copy of it and share it and talk amongst your friends, talk amongst your churches, in the schools, the student groups. Have these discussions. We have a petition going through change.org. It's free. They're asking you to give. You don't have to give to, you can but they might ask you to create an account, but it's still free. You can vote, and people are signing and so on. So that's good. Some of you have paper forms where people can sign. If you have that, you can do that as well. But let's get the conversation going and let's continue the discussion. This is powerful and this is great. Thank you, Brian. You have the last word.
Okay, well, I just, like to thank you all for learning about Haiti and for thinking so critically about some of these issues. I really, as I did before, I really enjoyed my time with you, and look forward to more discussions.
Yeah, man, we definitely. Yes, and I didn't know you publish every 6 months. So every 6 months, when you do this publication, I will read it, and then we will have a podcast and talk about it. But thank you so much, and we have somebody who's going to give the vote of thanks today. The head of the class, Dane. Sorry, the leader, one of our the student leaders, Dane is here. Dane, you will be providing the vote of thanks. Go ahead.
Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, Reverend McKenzie. Good evening, Sir Brian Concannon. Is that? I hope I got the pronunciation correct.
That's pretty good, Dave.
Canaan. Yes.
We want to, on behalf of the class, I want to pass on our thank you, our heartfelt thank you for having spent the time this evening to educate us, to inform us, to connect us with our brothers and sisters in Haiti and the issues there. And we just want to wish you and your team and all those who are involved in the fight the great victory that is so well needed. And we are appreciative of the fact that we are now even more stimulated to have the conversation and take it even further to see what we can do as our families, as brothers and sisters here in Jamaica for this fight. So we thank you again for coming and being with us this evening. All right.
Well, thank you, Dane, for your kind words, and I really appreciate them, but I'm going to pass them on to my colleagues in Haiti, and they're going to really appreciate solidarity from their brothers and sisters in Jamaica. And
Great.
That's good. And by the way, earlier you talk about, I didn't realize there is a restitution commission, that CARICOM had a restitution commission. It's quite interesting that you would say that. And I don't know, I wrote an article recently, which I just published, and I sent it to the Jacobin magazine. And I said, as I presented a paper, and I'm going to probably provide a quick lecture, read it to the students recently. But between 1833, Brian, between 1833, slavery was abolished slavery was abolished in the West Indies, in the English Commonwealth in 1833. But it wasn't until 1865 that the Emancipation Proclamation was announced to the Caribbean people, before they realized that they worked the plantation from 1833 to 1865 as freed men, but they were free and they didn't know it. They didn't know that they were free. So then it goes. So I asked the question: is there we should also include the issue of restitution, because you're working as freed men. So I'm developing an argument and an article and research around that. But then I heard about this issue. So this is quite interesting. Well, yeah, man, thank you so much. We will take a break, and then we will come back at 8:15 Jamaican time, 9:15 my time. So we take a 5-minute, in fact, we take a 10-minute break. Thank you so much, Brian. Guys, we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back at 9:20, okay? I will know. Okay, you guys couldn't tell me that the recording was paused. Welcome back to the class. Just before we ended, I was saying to the students that the way we ended the presentation with Mr. Concannon, Mr. Brian Concannon, was quite interesting, because it provided a great opening and segue into my next presentation, which is the final presentation for tonight before we close class, and then before we end class for tonight. Because we ended by talking about the issue of reparation, and we learned that the CARICOM has a reparation commission. And the presentation that we ended the last class by just introducing this particular essay that I have written, entitled "Unpaid Freedom: Unveiling the Unsettling Legacy of West Indian Slavery," which is available in the NeoLiberal Post. In the essay, I begin by saying the abolition of slavery in the West Indies in 1833 marked a significant milestone in the fight against human bondage. However, the news of emancipation did not reach the enslaved population until 1865, leaving them to toil as free laborers for over 3 decades without compensation. The essay delves into the profound injustice endured by these individuals and examines the question of why their emancipation went unrecognized for so long. Furthermore, it explores the implications of this delayed freedom, the potential for lost wages and forced labor, and the need for compensation and remuneration for their toil. Let's begin by looking at the historical context. Between 1833 and 1865, Blacks working as slaves on plantations in the West Indies were technically freed. In fact, remove the technicality, they were free. They were free based on the abolishment of slavery. It was passed in the British Commonwealth in 1833, but they were unaware of their emancipation for over 32 years. This startling revelation raises crucial questions about the responsibility of plantation owners, the government, and the dominant class in compensating these individuals for their labor during this extended period. While the insurance claims made by plantation owners against the loss of property due to the abolition of slavery were honored, the compensation owed to the workers themselves was neglected. Let's look at the compensation for lost wages. In fact, in an article entitled Unmasking Slavery's Profiteers, published in the Jamaica Gleaner's editorial on Sunday, August 4, 2023. Oh, wow, this is incorrect. Where is this coming from? This is absolutely incorrect. This is 2022. Historians Vereen Shepherd, Ahmad Reed, Dave Dunkley, and Dave Goss, guest columnists, argued and provided evidence of the estimated dollar amount of insurance claims and compensation received by enslavers in the Commonwealth. However, their research did not uncover any compensation to the freed slaves, according to the editorial. One, the exploitation of enslaved Africans and the transatlantic slave trade played a crucial role in Britain's rise as an industrial superpower. And he talked about that, Mr. Concannon talked about that. Again, the exploitation of enslaved Africans. And this is based on the article. This is based on the editorial. And the editorial reference Eric Williams, the late Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who published Capitalism and Slavery in 1944. In that book, or in that publication, he argued that the transatlantic trade in African and plantation slavery provided the impetus for Britain's industrial advancement. I know you're hearing that Georgetown University and even the Church of England is coming out saying that, and admitting that they got that where they are today, they got rich off the backs of slaves. The second thing is that the wealth generated from slavery was invested and reinvested in various sectors of British society, including railroads, shipbuilding, insurance, the financial sector, the arts, and shopkeeping. Thirdly, the decision to abolish slavery in 1833 had a significant financial impact on those who had invested capital in slavery and the plantation system. To soften the blow, the British government provided a £20 million bailout to enslavers, representing 40% of British public expenditure at the time. Fourthly, the compensation claims which were filed by enslavers to receive compensation for their loss of enslaved people provide valuable data for understanding the ownership of enslaved people during the transition from slavery to freedom. Fifth, the compensation records reveal that more than half of the £20 million paid in compensation stayed in Britain and was reinvested in various sectors such as the financial sector, railroads, and cultural institutions. Sixth, while many enslavers were absentees living in Britain, Jamaica had a significant population of resident enslavers who also filed claims and received substantial compensation in Jamaica. And seventh, preliminary findings show that 16,114 claims were filed for enslaved people in Jamaica, with the majority filed by resident enslavers. The total compensation received by resident enslavers amounted to £4.10 million. So there were Jamaicans who were of the elite, who represented the plantocracy, who enslaved, who had slaves, who when they freed their slaves, they filed and got money. Now the question is if the argument is now, if the plantocracy and the enslavers received compensation for their loss of property, it stands to reason that the workers who toiled on the plantations during the period of delayed emancipation should be entitled to compensation for their loss of wages and forced labor. Again, if the plantocracy and the enslavers received compensation for their loss of property, it stands to reason that the workers who toiled on the plantations during this period of delayed emancipation should be entitled to compensation for their loss of wages and forced labor. The legal and moral obligation to acknowledge their unpaid labor and and provide restitution is a matter of social justice. The intergenerational impact on this injustice cannot be ignored, as the descendants of these freed slaves also suffered economically as a result. The delayed transmission of news regarding emancipation begs the question, why did it take so long for the slaves' liberation to be known? It is possible that the dominant class consisting of the plantocracy, crown, and the government deliberately withheld this information to mitigate potential losses and adequately prepare for the transition from slave labor to alternative forms of exploitation. The decision to end slavery necessitated a carefully orchestrated process, which included the establishment of indentured labor systems using bonded servants from China and India. This transformation from chattel slavery to indentured servitude reduced the plantation, or from slavery to indentured servitude, reduced the plantation owner's responsibility to provide for the welfare of the workers, ultimately resulting in lower labor costs. Now let's look at post-emancipation economic realities. With the advent of automation and scientific advancement in production, slavery was no longer the most profitable labor system. The plantocracy gradually transitioned from slave labor to indentured and then chattel and wage labor, benefiting economically from these changes. However, the formerly enslaved individuals never experienced economic recovery. They left the plantations without any form of compensation, benefits, or remuneration, with their welfare disregarded by the dominant class. The long-term economic ramifications of this system, or systemic neglect, continue to be felt by their descendants, perpetuating cycles of poverty and inequality. In closing, the delayed emancipation and subsequent denial of compensation for over 3 decades of free labor, endured by the West Indian slaves, reveal a dark chapter in history that demands redress. The legacy of slavery continues to shape social and economic disparities in the region, with the descendants of the formerly enslaved still grappling with the aftermath of unpaid toil and systemic neglect. Recognizing the historical injustice and advocating for compensation and remuneration for the affected individuals and their descendants is not only a matter of restitution, but also a step towards rectifying the enduring imbalances rooted in West Indian history. It is time to confront this painful past and forge a path forward for a more just and equitable future for all. And that is the end. Now, by the way, there's something I need to correct. I need to make a correction. I just noticed a major error, which I will correct now real quickly. Any questions before we wrap up? We will end right now, but if you have any questions, I'm going to tell you. What? There we go. August 4, 2013. August 4, 2013. I am going to correct that. Oh my God, that was a major error. August 4, 2013. That was 2013. There we go, and I can save that. August 4, 2013, and I also need to make several corrections elsewhere. But that's it for class today, guys. Any questions before we wrap up?
Yes, sir. What was the assignment?
The assignment was to do an interaction paper of the presentations of today, of Mr. Concannon's presentation regarding the issue on independence and democracy. Independent. Can these be put in the WhatsApp group, please? Yes, we'll put this in the group and I'll send out a lecture. But so your job is to review today's lecture, especially the presentation by Mr. Concannon and some of the questions and consideration, and to just do an interaction. What jumps out to you? What were some of the takeaways? What can you do as a Jamaican to continue to preserve security? What did you learn? What did you learn about?
A graded paper, sir.
Sorry?
It is going to be a graded assignment.
Oh yes, this one will be graded. This will be great. This one will be graded. This is the interaction paper. I said you can take any slant you want to take. Okay, as it really, I want you to interact with today's presentation on Haiti based on the presentation of Mr. Concannon. Okay, and you can develop your own slant. But what did you learn that, and say for example, that some of Susie could have put that into a reflection based on the question, but that was really Sasha K talking about the issue of the rule of law and constitution and responsibility and accountability. Okay, what does that? So this is quite powerful, and how we responded, and you could do external research and so on, but interact with the presentation. What did you learn? What jumps out? What did you agree with? What did you not agree with? What are some of the challenges and concerns? The challenges in terms of what can we do as a Caribbean people, or what it is that hold us back. Say, for example, Suji talk about the issue of dependency, and the fact that in one moment he talked about the issue about Jamaica being threatened by the US, a travel ban being put out. We make money through foreign exchange. We need people to come here in order to make the foreign exchange. We talk about our work borders around tourism. If we're heavily if we make most of our money come from tourism, that's a problem. Okay, because if we get people come from certain places, then they can issue travel ban that affect our ability to earn foreign exchange. So it's as if we are locked in. We have to do what those people from the global north say, because most of our foreign dollars come from their citizens coming to Jamaica. How does that speak to our ability or inability to do anything? How does that speak? Does that speak to our independence? You notice how I'm already giving you I'm already interacting with it. I'm already, that speaks to the issue. And then of course the letters I will send to you with John, I read earlier, talk about John Maxwell and how the Caribbean was seen as in the letter, how in 2004 or 2003, how the Caribbean was seen, Jamaica and the Caribbean, Trinidad and so on, how they were seen by John Maxwell and those who were involved in the discussion that understood what was going on at the time, was saying Jamaicans were seen as cowardice. on the issue of standing up against global power for the Haitians in terms of restoring democracy. We talk about, look what happened in Haiti, where after the death of the president, the assassination of the president, there was a government in place, but he was pushed aside by people who outside of Haiti. He was pushed aside by people outside of Haiti, and Ariel was the de facto government, the de facto prime minister was installed by somebody outside of Haiti. How that speaks to the wider issues. And we talked about the issue of bureaucracy and how, when we look at the United Nations and the Security Council and who comprises the Security Council. And then you might ask, I mean, can Jamaica and small states like Jamaica and Haiti, can we do anything outside of a stronger union? In fact, can even as a Caribbean community, what latitude or what power or independence or authority do we have to provide any pressure on the international community and to restore democracy when we realize, when we see who we're going up against, the United Nations security and who they comprise, the Security Council and so on. And if we can do anything, what will that look like? And that's when you start reading books like Neighborhood Organizing. Yes.
Yes, sir. Just before you go.
Wait, hold on. That's when you start reading books like Neighborhood Organizing in America by Robert Fisher, Let the People Decide. Or you might want to read, where is that book that I saw earlier? The Poor People's Movement. Where is it? Can't find it. Send me around. Poor People's Movement. Who wrote that book? I just picked it up earlier. Here we go. Poor People's Movement by Francis Fox Piven and Richard A. Cloward. Poor People's Movement. But these books are very important because he talks about the issue of, he's a private individual. One of the ways that is private interests lobbying the government. Say, for example, if we work with private individuals, work with local, bring awareness, let the citizens know what's going on in these countries. That's one of the ways. Fine, maybe as a government within these countries who work with certain private interests, but we might be able to appeal to the populace in these countries and to the diaspora in these countries. We might be able to make certain appeals and negotiations and so on. It requires tremendous strategy. It requires tremendous cooperation. It requires tremendous thinking, okay? Which is something that are we willing to do? But then you got to talk about the Caribbean as a whole and how each of these Caribbean countries are suffering from dependency and lack. And so as a result, they are so concerned, they are so insulated. We are so concerned with our own development of growth, which is maybe quite strategic. One of the ways we can weaken the Caribbean community is help to develop and make them so dependent, and lacking in certain things that they are more concerned about what's going on in their own country than what's going on in the other part of the Caribbean, which you talk about divide and conquer, which prevents any kind of organization and coming together that can mitigate. Yes, Shoshana, Shoshana, go ahead.
Sir, I was just asking you, before you started to talk, you were mentioning about the assignment. Yes. I was asking if the detail of the assignment can be sent via email or in the WhatsApp group.
Oh, sure. Right? Yes. Okay. I'll send that.
So what is it that is required of us so that we can get it done? Also, for the group presentation, could you outline what is required? That we can start working on that as well, because we don't want to wait until the last. Each group is to go on the syllabus and choose one of the questions on the syllabus and do an essay paper, 25-page essay paper. The question is on the syllabus. I don't recall the question. Yes. I'll look back on it, sir.
So the syllabus some questions, and I'm asking you guys can choose one of those. I will repeat. What I'll do is I send an email out to the WhatsApp group and the email just reminding you of the major assignments or what to do really. One is you will do an exam for this course, which is, and two, you will do a group work paper, a group assignment. You can, if it's 3 or 4 of you in the group, you can divide it up into groups. So if it's 25 pages, each of you do 7, 7, 7, something of the sort. One person work on point 1, one person work on point 2, one person work on point 3. I think one of the questions says, Franz Fanon talks about the Negro is not any more than the white man. What is he talking about? Explain and develop. So you guys.
One other thing, sir, because I know you had mentioned that you won't be posting this video right now, and since the assignment that we're going to be writing is on the presentation that Mr. Brian did, how can we get that the recording?
This recording will be ready by tomorrow, but there's another recording you guys did on Monday, but this one will be done because tomorrow my plate is a little bit lighter tomorrow. I know I have one appointment. But I'm going to be, once I'm finished, I'm going to work on the class on Monday. And then I'm going to work on the the interview with John Anthony Castro, who is running for president for the US. I will do that. Then I will do this class and that's it. But back to back. So by tomorrow, this will be available. But, and we are also going, as I said to you, I'm working on a transcript. Now, the interaction paper, did you get the email I sent? I did a presentation on doing interaction papers, like what to expect. So if you are doing an interaction paper, hold on. Sorry about that, guys. We have a guest. But anyways, what I was talking about, what was I talking about? I completely forgot.
Sir, just send us the
interaction paper. You were saying something about the interaction paper.
But have you guys gotten the interact? Did you guys get an email from me about the interaction, how to do, and the interaction?
Yes, sir. It was sent to everyone.
Okay, great. So the interaction paper that I sent you a format for how to format the interaction paper with introduction, blah, 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 point 1, interrelate, that. So it's in a sense a format. So in terms of what I'm looking for the interaction paper. Now, what I told you that I'm not going to hold you down in terms of coming up with a particular topic. You are writing an interaction based on the presentation. So just interact with the presentation today. You can take whatever slant you want to take. You probably could ask a question. You could critique or challenge, but come up with a question or with a general theme that speaks to how you plan to interact with Mr. Concannon's presentation today. Okay. And you could talk about the issue of Haiti. You could talk about the issue of CARICOM restitution. Sasha K asked a question about the issue of constitution and the rule of law. You could come up with, say, well, I was intrigued with the whole issue I was intrigued by his presentation based on a question I had asked concerning accountability, responsibility, and the rule of law and constitution. And then you can take it from there based on his response. This was what he said, and then you can take it from there. You can build from that argument in terms of how does that speak to the issue of democracy? How does that speak to the Caribbean situation in terms of justice and nationhood and so on? So you guys, the ball is in your court in terms of how you want to slant it, but utilize the guide I gave you that we emailed we emailed you something about how to construct your interaction paper. But I will send out a WhatsApp and an email, and you will get this, all of this. So you can start working on it, probably not tonight. You can start working on it Thursday. It's not due until next week. It won't be due. This assignment, this is not due until next week, Wednesday. This assignment is not due. So you don't have to start it right away, but probably some of you should, like, say, for example, I was listening to today, and look at that. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10 and a half pages of notes. Wow, I could turn this into a interaction paper and submit it. summarizing everything and playing with it. So you could probably do a summary. You could summarize the presentation thematically. Point 1, point 2. I'll accept that. Okay. And what jumps the point, and what questions come to mind that you want to leave open, but something to pursue. You could summarize the presentation as well. I will explain that. It's an interaction paper. I leave it in your court. You won't be graded heavily in the sense that what I'm looking for is your ability to interact with the subject matter. Okay, that's very important, and develop and build and develop your awareness, and then your ability to be able to speak freely about these things. That's really good. But so far, I really appreciate the questioning by some of you. Sasha K, you hit it on the head. I love that question. Suji, powerful. I don't think I had anybody else that asked the question. I think it was just Suji and Sasha that asked question, but thank you guys so much. If you guys have questions, that burning questions that you had but you never asked them, send it to me, and I'll send it to him. And say, hey, some of the students had some questions that they couldn't ask, but they have these other questions. I'll send it to him, and I have his direct phone number and email. He responds. Okay, so send that to me. And just so you know, part of your grade comes from your participation. Part of your grade comes from your interaction. So in fact, Sasha and Suji already get grade for this paper. They already gave me an interaction paper. The fact that they interacted so well. Okay, but the other students, I didn't get anything from you in the class today. So especially you guys need to submit an interaction paper. But Suji and Sasha, yeah, still give me something, but I won't mark you too hard. Probably build on what you have said earlier. Build on the question you asked. Yeah, just build on it and just respond. Earlier in the presentation, it was quite powerful. I asked Mr. Concannon a question about responsibility, and his response, it was quite interesting that he would say XYZ, and whether or not he answered the question. You could build on that. Okay, that could be, but you already got a grade for this. Because when I mark and I send in the email, I'm looking at how your attendance and the participation and engagement with the presentations. And it was Romain. Did Romain ask a question as well? Yeah, Romain as well. It was powerful. Thank you guys. I was blessed, and I was moved by your questions. And I was just happy that all of you came to the class and participated and demonstrated some level of interest. I really appreciate that. This was powerful. We will continue I will send out all of this material. Don't worry about it. You will get this in a very nice, neat presentation format that you can, and then you can start work on it. So you do have to start work on the interaction paper until tomorrow. If you can start now, but if you want to wait on the video and the other stuff, then you can wait until tomorrow evening. I'll send it out to you guys. Okay. But thank you guys, and I hope God will continue to bless you and keep you, and place his hand upon you, and surround you with his love, his mercy, and his kindness. I pray that the beauty of Jesus be seen in you with all splendor and purity. We pray, Lord God, that as you empower us, we may empower others. We say we're weak, but Jamaicans say them little, but them talawa. But part of the talawaness come from you, oh God, because it is in you that we live and have our being. Yes, we talk about being a little bit dependent and lack, and having some lack and so on. But Lord, and that we talk about, we point to Goliath and David, and how David used them little 5 stone and knocked down Goliath. That's a powerful story for us to think about as people of the Caribbean who call ourselves people of faith. That has always driven us to success. And so, Lord God, we are relying and depending on you as we help, as we demonstrate our good Samaritan, that good Samaritan spirit, to lift up those who need to be lifted up, to be friends with those who need friends, to fight for justice where there is injustice, and to empower us, strengthen us, and keep us, and bless us with the resources we need in order to make good on those things that you want for all people. These are the mercies we ask. Amen. God bless you and keep.
Amen.
And see you guys. Yeah, man. See you guys Monday. But of course, I will send out the emails and some notes for you guys. Take care.
So a reminder for you not to have too loud of a background music in there.
All right. But the last one was okay, right? You've been listening to the last ones?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Man.
All right. Well, take care. The last one and this one, I have lowered the music. So thank you for reminding me. Take care and be
Yes,
safe.
sir.
Yeah, man.